in a really nice circle of people in our neighborhood where I'm really glad because my wife is not the most outgoing person in the world, but Miss Carolyn Smith, yes, Miss Carolyn Pence-Smith.
Thank you. Okay, so my name is Carolyn. I'm with Preston, Lisonbee, so I use pens.
Let me find out who your server is and I'll get that picture.
A little bit about me. I have 3 girls, 11, 8, and 5. I'm raising ninjas, not princesses, so don't tell my girls princesses or they'll put you in your place. My hobbies include anything that is physical, so I run, I hike, I trail run, I do obstacle course racing, I do half marathons, relay races. I'm doing my first marathon this year under duress. I wanted to do a 50-miler, but somehow I got roped into doing a full marathon, which I think sounds horrible. So, and then I'm doing, this is my favorite, I'm doing 3 half marathons in 3 days in 3 states. So I'm super excited about that one. And then I do Spartans. I think that's it. So I'm with Preston, Lisonbee, and we started our firm in 2008 because the Utah State Bar was jamming down all of our throats that there was a gap in legal services. Now, you may know that if you're really poor, there's free legal services available. And if you're really rich, you can afford to pay Curtin McConkie their $3,000 retainer fee and pay $500 an hour for some really good attorneys. But the middle class doesn't always have that. And Anders knows as well as I do that the bar, if they ask me to do pro bono one more time this year, I'm going to go slap somebody in the face up at the state bar and then I'll be in jail and need Anders' help getting out of jail. So, we formed our firm because we wanted to make legal services affordable to the middle class. Has anyone here ever had to hire an attorney? I don't want to know why. Don't care. Were you shocked at how much they needed for the retainer fee and for the hourly rate? It's expensive. And my firm, we still have retainer fees and we still have an hourly rate that probably is expensive too. But we started our services because we wanted to be a little bit different. So some of the things that we do that are different are we have a lower hourly rate than most attorneys. Our retainer fee is also lower. We offer payment plans. My clients go on payment plans from day one. And a lot of times my clients' balance owing is pretty high, but as long as they stay on the payment plan, I'm okay with their balance owing as long as they stay current. We also offer what's called unbundled legal services. Anyone know what that means? Anders, what does unbundled legal services mean?
It means instead of representing for the entire divorce, you can say, I'll represent you for the temporary order hearing.
Right.
I'll represent you at mediation.
Exactly.
Just that.
I'll ghost draft your documents, but it's your name that's on there. So those are pieces of the pie. There's some limitations to that, and I go over that with my clients when they hire me. But if you are competent in some areas, that can save you a lot of money. So, who can tell me some reasons why people get divorced?
I hate your spouse.
The husband.
That's why I got divorced.
Okay, so I've got lack of love. I've got financial difficulties. Communication's a big thing. Infidelity. Lack of shared interest. Lack of trust. Abuse. Insecurity. The bottom line is, when you go to court, guess what? The judge does not care what your reason for divorce is. So, what I tell my clients is, you need to get a therapist to go through those issues because they're important and they're real. But you don't want to pay me to be your therapist. Although I was a therapist in another life. My background is in social work. So if you want to pay me to counsel you, I'll do that. Probably not as effectively as the therapist that we have, but I can do that. So the court doesn't really care about your. Can you hear me?
Barely.
Okay, I'm moving over here. Sorry for the camera. So the court doesn't really care. I asked on Facebook if anybody had any questions about divorce. So some of the questions I got was, is there any benefit to, is that like extreme close-up? Because I don't want to extreme close-up. Is there any benefit to filing first? There are a few benefits to filing for divorce. Mostly the only benefit is that you kind of control the timing of the way things happen. So if you file, the way divorce works is somebody has to file a petition for divorce. Once that petition is filed, you have, the other person has to be served with the papers, and then they have 30 days to respond. After the 30 days, then you have to go to court. They change the leases. Then you go to court. Then you go to mediation. Mediation is mandatory, and mediation is powerful, and it can really solve a lot of problems before you go to the judge. If you don't reach resolution of mediation, the general pathway you're on is you're headed to trial. There's always ways you can get in and out of there, but you're going to trial. Trial is always expensive. Trial takes a long time, and in trial you will lose control of your case. Sometimes that's what you need, and that's fine. I'll go to trial. But most of my cases resolve at mediation or at some other point of negotiation along the way, and I think that's a good thing. Another question I got was, this is pretty important. Mike asked, what do you do if you have a freezer full of food? And I'm guessing he means a divorce, but I don't really know. So what I would suggest is that you open up your freezer, you cook it all up, and have a big party with your friends. But if you can't do that, then there's, again, two ways that divorce is solved. Either you reach a resolution yourself, or the judge reaches a resolution for you. So, with the freezer full of food, you can either divide it up between the two of you as you see fit, or you can go to the judge. The judge is going to draw a line down your freezer, saw the freezer in half, and you each take your half of the freezer. I would probably choose that and go that way. So I was asked how you divide your assets in a divorce. The bottom line is each party is entitled to 50-50 of what you own at the time of divorce. There are some exceptions I'm not going to get into now. But the real answer is if you two can reach a resolution on your own, you can divide it any way you want to. I've had couples that one person walks away with all the material crap, the other person, and all the debt, the other person walks away with no debt and no stuff. But the bottom line is you can do it however you want to if you reach a resolution yourself. But again, if you go to the judge, he doesn't care. He just wants the baby of the middle line. He's not, or she. We're not too concerned with, being fair in a way that you would like. That's about business assets. That's a little bit trickier of a question. It's called practicing law for a reason. And one of the reasons why it's called practicing is that I don't know all the answers. And the answer is going to be dependent upon the specific situation in which you find yourself. So a business, it depends on how the business is formed. It depends on when the business was formed. So I can't really answer that question. The general rule in divorce is that everything is divided 50-50, including business assets, unless it's done in a different way. And so I can't really answer that question. I'm sorry. I would also ask the question about custody. When I say that I do divorces from the beginning, which means I file a petition, and then it ends when the case ends in divorce decree. But there's also a lot of different steps along the way. So if you're divorced, sometimes you have to modify the divorce decree. I do that. Sometimes you have to do enforcement because one party isn't following the divorce decree. We do that as well. So the custody issue, if you start the divorce process and then one person moves farther away, a big part of what the judge is going to look at is what the status quo is and if it's working for the kid. When kids are involved, what the judge cares about is the best interest of the kid. So they're going to look at how is the kid doing? Is the kid doing well with the situation as it is right now? If the kid's doing really well, the judge is not going to want to disturb that. If you can show that the kid will do really well changing the situation, then the judge wants both parents to be equally involved as much as possible. But the judge, bottom line, wants that kid to be happy and healthy. Let's say you're real quick. If you're both married in Utah, you get divorced in Utah, you have some elected 50-50 custody, one person moves far away, you use the relocation statute, which means basically you divide up every major holiday and then they get roughly half of the summer. That's how it would work with some of you are. One common misconception that I do.
Oh, you're good. I'm trying to get out of your way. You're good.
No, you're fine. That I hear all the time is people come in and they're like, I'm the mom or I'm the dad, so I know that as the dad, I'm going to get every other weekend and one night a week. That's just the custody arrangement that I'm going to get. And I tell everybody, male and female, that is above it. That is not the way the law works anymore. That's not the way the legislature wants it to work. The legislature now says that they want something closer to 60-40. They want, which is about 6 out of 14 overnight. They want the non-custodial parents. My current situation, what I go to is 50-50. Judges want both parents to be equally involved in their kids' lives. Not because it's good for mom or dad, because no one really cares about mom or dad. What they care about it is kids. And they want the kids to have equal access to both. So I tell my clients when they're getting divorced, if you're a dad, ask for your kids. If you get your kids, you take your kids. You don't take this every other weekend, because that's not parenting. That's called being a Disneyland dad. And it's not fair for mom or dad or the kids. So if if you have a friend who comes to you and says, I want full custody of my kids, I would, I mean, if that's what they want, I'll fight for it. But the bottom line, I don't think that's really good for you. I don't think that's good for moms or dads. I also tell my clients when they come in, male or female, mom and dad both have to work. That's the reality of life most divorce, because you better support the family. So mom's got to get a job, dad's got to get a job, they've got to provide health insurance for the kids, they have to be there for the kids. And the benefit of having equal bear time is that it gives you a chance to work and to take care of your kids. So I'm really passionate about parents having equal access to their children. I'm really passionate about people resolving their divorces on their own if at all possible. I've done trials. There are some things about trials that I find to be really, really fun, but I don't really encourage my clients to go to trial very often because nobody wins. I've never had a client run out of court and say, that was a slam dunk, I scored. It never happens. Everybody leaves court and they feel like they lost. They feel like they lost a lot. And I tell them, if you go to court, you're going to lose. You can win, and I will point out the ways that you win, and everything, they win. But you never, I mean, Andrew says, anybody ever walked out, do divorces? Nobody really wins.
No, I even did one where we got everything that we asked for, and the client still felt too long.
It's true. And so I don't really, I won't divorce my friends, and I don't divorce cops in Layton, I don't divorce people in my ward, I don't divorce people in my neighborhood, and I probably won't divorce any of you, and I'll tell you why. It's because at some point in the divorce process, you will hate me. And it's not because I'm not doing a good job, it's because at some point I will tell you, you've got to get a job, you have to pay child support, you have to give up custody of your kids, and the other parent gets to make the decisions that you don't like, and that's okay. And so you will not like me, and that's why I've done all of those. I've divorced cops, I've divorced friends, I've divorced board members, and I've regretted it. So I don't do that anymore. Does anybody have any questions for me? But not to do your divorce. Yes, Justin?
Obviously, when someone files for a divorce, they're pretty committed, but is there ever any point through mediation or therapy where they're actually able to resolve their problems and concerns and stay together? I mean, does that happen very often?
No, it doesn't happen very often. What happens often is people will come to me for a consultation, I'll give them some advice, they'll go think about it, and they'll decide they want to work it out. And that's fantastic. So a good referral for me is somebody asks me when to refer to me. You can refer to me at any point in the process. If they're thinking about divorce, talk to me. If they've already filed for divorce, refer to me. Yes. They need their attorney. You can switch. A red flag for me are people that attorney hop. So if they've had 3 other attorneys and they use up the retainer fee and then they hop attorneys, and that's a red flag for me. But sometimes it's not a good fit. And I tell my clients, or when they're meeting with me consultations, I'm like, talk to the people. Make sure that I'm a good fit for you. Because my personality is my personality. I'm not a bulldog. If you want somebody who's going to fight over the garden gnomes and get crayons, and that's been a real situation that we fought about a mediation, that's not me. I'm going to tell you, go to Walmart, back to school, and buy the box of crayons for 25 cents. I'm not going to, you don't want to be spending $500 and combine legal fees fighting over the garden gnomes and crayons. I'm also going to tell my clients to let go of the conflict and focus on the resolution. Look 5 years down the line and see where you want to be. And don't fight over the dumb stuff. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, question for you. Let's assume that there is a divorce decree with the decree says mom gets to claim child A, dad gets to claim child B, the children live with mom 80% of the time, mom files her taxes before dad files his taxes and claims both children. Okay? Where do you come in at that point in time? Because the IRS, as I understand, doesn't recognize state courts.
What you would do is you would file an order to show cause on contempt and explain why mom was in violation of the divorce decree and ask the judge to issue appropriate sanctions.
Okay, so that would have to go back to court, not to the IRS, so to speak, and have to go back to court.
Any other questions? How's that? Well, no, but if the re-saying is never done it, one of the court remedies that you can have is to go into a partnership law. So that is the remedy that happens. There are other ways you could do it with the IRS, but I would have that option. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Let's see what we can do. One, to sit down with Carolyn and get to know her better. 2 is to find, if you hear of somebody, how would you get them over to Carolyn and stuff. And one thing I have learned with people who I know who talk to her is she really is about saving the marriage first.